As I get older, I've learned that the little things we ignore in our younger years often come back to speak louder than ever. And one of those things, believe it or not, is fiber. When you're in your 60s, your body starts sending you messages it never bothered to send in your 30s or 40s. Your digestion slows down, your metabolism doesn't burn quite as clean, and suddenly your energy, your sleep, even your mood seems tied to what you put on your plate. For a long time, I didn't think much about fiber. I thought it was just something doctors mentioned in passing or something people took when they were constipated. But then I noticed mornings when my stomach felt heavy, days when my blood sugar spiked for no clear reason, and evenings when my heartburn wouldn't let me rest. I realized these weren't just random annoyances, they were warnings. As we age, our intestines don't move food along the way. They used to, our arteries need more help. Staying clear, and our immune system depends heavily on the good bacteria living in our gut. Without enough fiber, all of those systems start to struggle. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, slowly, the way winter creeps in through the cracks before you even notice the cold. One day you're just feeling a little bloated after dinner, and the next thing you know, your doctor is telling you that your cholesterol is up, your blood pressure is climbing, or your risk of colon trouble is higher than it should be. I've sat across from enough friends and neighbors to know I'm not alone in this. Most of us grew up eating white bread soft noodles and meat-heavy meals, never realizing our bodies were starving for something as simple as natural fiber. The truth is, fiber doesn't just help you stay regular. It protects your heart, steadies your blood sugar, feeds your gut microbiome, and keeps inflammation down. It keeps you feeling light, clear, and grounded in your own body. And if you've ever had a night ruined by indigestion or a week thrown off by sluggish digestion, you know exactly how important those things are. So today I want to share why fiber matters more than ever after 60, what happens when we don't get enough of it, and the signs your body might already be trying to tell you that it's missing this essential part of real healthy living. When you reach your 60s, you start to realize just how much your digestive system depends on something as simple as fiber. Without it, everything slows down, and you feel it every time you sit down at the table or try to start your morning. Constipation isn't just discomfort, it becomes a weight that follows you all day. You feel heavy, sluggish, almost toxic. And when the stool becomes too dry and compacted, you strain more than you should, and that straining becomes a routine your body simply wasn't designed for. Over time, those daily struggles lead to swollen veins, painful bumps, and the burning discomfort of hemorrhoids. Many older adults quietly live with this pain, embarrassed to talk about it, thinking it's just part of aging. But it isn't. It's a sign that the body is missing a basic tool it needs to move waste the right way. When I finally started adding real natural fiber back into my meals, it felt like someone had restarted a machine that had been jammed for years. My mornings became easier, my discomfort lessened, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like my body was working with me again instead of against me. One thing many people my age don't hear enough about is diverticulitis. It sounds like a complicated medical term, but the idea behind it is simple and frightening. When you don't eat enough fiber for many years, your colon has to push harder and harder to move stool along. Over time, this pressure creates small pockets in the walls of the intestine. Those pockets just sit there quietly, often for years, until one day they become inflamed or infected. The pain can come suddenly, sharp, deep, and frightening. Some people end up in the emergency room without even knowing what hit them. Doctors often connect the dots right away. A lifetime of low-fiber meals slowly weaken the colon. I've seen neighbors and even relatives go through this, and the recovery isn't easy. Eating becomes uncomfortable. The fear of another flare-up lingers, and daily life feels fragile. And the truth is, so much of it could have been prevented with something as basic as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and a little more awareness. When you realize that fiber doesn't just help digestion, it protects the very structure of your colon, you start looking at your dinner plate with entirely new eyes. It surprises many people, even at my age, to learn that fiber has a lot to do with heart health. We often blame fatty foods, stress, or genetics for high cholesterol, But few realize how much fiber helps keep the arteries clean. Soluble fiber acts almost like a gentle sponge inside the digestive system. It traps excess cholesterol and carries it out before it ever reaches the bloodstream. When your diet lacks fiber, that cholesterol has nowhere to go. It lingers, builds up, and slowly coats the walls of your arteries. Bit by bit, year after year, those arteries stiffen and narrow. And before you know it, your doctor is talking about statins, clogged vessels, or the risk of a heart attack. I've heard so many older adults say they wish someone had told them sooner. When I added more fiber-rich foods to my meals, simple things like oats, beans, apples, and okra, I didn't expect much. But over time, my numbers changed, my energy returned, and I felt lighter in ways that had nothing to do with weight. Fiber doesn't just keep you regular, it keeps your heart beating cleaner, smoother, safer. And at 60 or 70, that might just be the difference between a scary hospital visit and many more healthy years at home. As we get older, the body becomes more sensitive to the way we process sugar. Foods we used to eat without a second thought suddenly cause spikes in energy followed by sharp crashes. Without enough fiber, sugar enters the bloodstream too quickly, hitting the body like a wave it cannot control. Over time, this constant up and down becomes exhausting for the pancreas, and insulin resistance begins to creep in. I remember days when I would eat a simple breakfast and feel shaky or tired an hour later. I thought it was just age catching up with me, but in reality, it was my body struggling to manage glucose without the steadying hand of fiber. When I started adding more fiber-rich foods into my meals, those wild swings calmed down. Fiber slowed everything just enough to keep my blood sugar steady. Many older adults don't realize that something as gentle and natural as fiber can play such a big role in preventing type 2 diabetes or managing it if it's already there. And the best part is, it doesn't involve pills, formulas, or complicated rules. Just real food that helps your body stay balanced, steady, and in control. One of the biggest changes I noticed after turning 60 was how fast weight seemed to appear out of nowhere, especially around the stomach. Even when I wasn't eating more, I felt heavier and softer. What I didn't realize was that fiber plays a quiet but powerful role in controlling appetite. Without fiber, meals pass through too quickly, leaving you hungry again in no time. I used to finish a meal and start craving something sweet within an hour. It wasn't weakness, it was physiology. Once I began eating foods with real, natural fiber, I felt full longer. My cravings eased, and slowly the stubborn belly weight that had been sitting there for years started to shrink. It wasn't a diet, it wasn't torture, it was simply giving the body what it had been missing. For many older adults, losing weight feels impossible, but the truth is that fiber can be the missing link. It helps regulate hunger, stabilize insulin, improve digestion, and reduce inflammation, all of which play a role in weight gain after 50. You don't need to suffer or starve. You just need to nourish your body the way it was meant to be nourished. Colon cancer is one of those things nobody wants to think about, especially as we age, but it's something we need to talk about honestly. When the body doesn't get enough fiber, waste moves more slowly through the intestines. That means harmful substances stay in contact with the colon lining longer than they should. Over years or decades, this prolonged exposure increases inflammation and raises the risk of abnormal cell growth. I've lost friends to colon cancer, and I've watched families struggle through treatments they wish they could have prevented. When doctors talk about prevention, fiber always comes up, and for good reason. It keeps everything moving, reduces inflammation, and feeds the good bacteria that protect the colon. Once I understood this connection, fiber stopped being something optional and became something essential. A small bowl of oats, a serving of vegetables, a handful of berries. These might seem like simple choices, but they're powerful tools against one of the most dangerous illnesses we face as we age. And the earlier we take fiber seriously, the more protection we give ourselves. As the years go by, more and more doctors talk about the importance of gut bacteria, something most of us never even thought about in our younger days. But the truth is, your gut is like a small community that keeps your entire body running smoothly. Those good bacteria depend heavily on fiber as their main source of nourishment. Without it, they weaken, shrink in number, and lose their ability to protect you from infection and inflammation. I remember a time when I would catch colds, easily feel bloated after almost every meal, and have unpredictable digestion from one week to the next. I blamed it on age, but in reality, I had starved the very bacteria that kept my immune system strong. When I began adding fiber back into my meals slowly but consistently, everything shifted. My stomach felt calmer, my digestion more predictable, and even my seasonal allergies eased. It's incredible how the body responds when you feed it what it's been missing for years. Fiber doesn't just help your stomach. It strengthens your entire immune system and helps you stay healthier as the seasons change. Something I never expected in my 60s was how much my skin would reflect the way my gut was working. When the body doesn't get enough fiber, toxins and waste linger longer than they should, forcing the liver to work harder to break everything down. Over time, that extra burden begins to show on your face. I went through months of dull skin, small breakouts along my cheeks, and an overall tired look that no cream or lotion could fix. It wasn't until a nutritionist explained that my body simply wasn't clearing waste efficiently that I began to understand. When I increased my fiber intake through fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, I didn't expect anything dramatic, but my skin slowly brightened, the breakouts faded, and I felt lighter inside and out. For older adults, healthy skin isn't just about what you put on the outside. It's deeply connected to how clean your digestive system is on the inside. Fiber helps remove toxins, naturally giving your skin a chance to breathe and glow again, even well past 60. As uncomfortable as it may be to talk about, anyone over 60 knows that changes in bowel habits become harder to ignore. When you don't get enough fiber, waste sits too long in the colon, allowing bacteria to break it down in ways that create strong, unpleasant odors. Stool becomes compact, harder to pass, and sometimes even irregular, one day loose, the next day difficult. I went through a period where every bathroom visit felt unpredictable, and it was embarrassing, especially when traveling or visiting family. It felt like my body was losing control of something that used to run like clockwork. Once I focused on adding fiber-rich foods to my meals, things began to normalize. I didn't have to worry about sudden urges, unpleasant smells, or irregular patterns. Instead, my digestion settled into a steady, comfortable rhythm I hadn't felt in years. It's a reminder that fiber plays a bigger role than we think, not just in comfort, but in dignity and confidence during daily life. One of the first signs that your body is running low on fiber is constipation, something many of us over 60 know all too well. In our younger years, we could eat anything and our digestion would keep moving. But now, without enough fiber, the stool dries out, becomes harder, and moves more slowly through the colon. You start noticing you're going less often, or that every bathroom visit takes more effort than it should. It's not just uncomfortable, it becomes something you dread. I remember sitting there some mornings frustrated and even a little embarrassed, wondering what changed. The truth is, nothing mysterious happened. My body simply wasn't getting the fiber it once used to get naturally from fresh produce, whole grains, and beans. And when you finally add fiber back into your diet, things begin to shift. The heaviness eases, the straining stops, and you feel like your body's rhythm is coming back to life. Another subtle but powerful signal is that constant feeling of bloating, as if your belly is carrying more than it should. It's not always painful, but it makes you feel uncomfortable in your own skin. Meals sit heavy, digestion feels slow, and even walking or bending becomes awkward. I used to think it was due to age or maybe the weather or even stress, but it wasn't. My gut simply didn't have the fiber it needed to move food along naturally. Without that gentle push, gas builds up, food ferments longer than it should, and your belly feels swollen by mid-afternoon. And the worst part is how unpredictable it becomes, one day mild, the next day overwhelming. When I started eating more fiber-rich foods, the change was surprising. My stomach felt lighter, my meals digested more smoothly, and that uncomfortable pressure slowly faded. It was a relief I didn't even know I was missing. One sign that really snuck up on me was how quickly I began feeling hungry after meals. I'd eat breakfast, and an hour later I'd be reaching for a snack. I thought it was just my metabolism slowing down with age, but the truth was simpler. Without fiber, sugar from food enters the bloodstream far too quickly, causing a spike of energy followed by a sharp drop. That crash leaves you tired, shaky, and craving something sweet. It becomes a cycle: eat, spike, crash, repeat. For older adults, these swings are more serious because they stress the pancreas and increase the risk of insulin resistance. When I added fiber back into my meals, everything changed. Fiber slowed digestion just enough to keep my energy steady. I no longer felt those sudden drops or the desperate need for sugary snacks. It's amazing how something so simple can bring such balance to your day. Many people don't realize that the skin is one of the first places to show signs of fiber deficiency. I certainly didn't. But I remember months when my skin looked dull, tired, almost grayish. Small breakouts appeared in places I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. No cream worked, no cleanser helped. What I didn't understand was that fiber plays a major role in helping the body remove waste. Without it, toxins stay in the system longer and the liver becomes overworked. When the liver struggles, the skin steps in, and that's when we start seeing problems on the outside. Once I began eating more fiber, my skin not immediately but slowly started to look clearer and brighter. There was a softness and a glow that felt natural again. It reminded me that good skin isn't about expensive products, it's about keeping the inside clean and supported. It's not a pleasant topic, but it's one we all understand. When your body lacks fiber, the colon slows down and waste sits too long. That extra time allows bacteria to break things down in ways that create much stronger, sometimes embarrassing odors. You might also notice changes from day to day: one morning, loose; the next morning, constipated. It feels unpredictable, and sometimes it makes you nervous to leave the house or travel. I've been there. I've had days when I worried about every meal, unsure how my stomach would react. But once I increased my fiber intake, my digestion settled into a steady rhythm. Odors decreased, consistency improved, and bathroom visits no longer felt like a gamble. It's a kind of quiet confidence you don't fully appreciate until you lose it and then regain it through something as natural as fiber. As someone in my 60s, I've learned that adding fiber to your diet is not just about eating more vegetables. It's about teaching your body to accept something it's been missing for years, sometimes even decades. When I first tried adding fiber, I made the mistake many people make. I added too much too fast. My stomach felt tight, I got gassy, and for a moment I thought fiber just didn't work for me. But that wasn't true. My gut simply wasn't used to doing its job the way it was designed to. Over time, I realized that the secret lies in making slow, gentle changes. Start with one good choice a day, maybe a small bowl of oatmeal in the morning, a handful of berries in the afternoon, or a serving of vegetables with dinner. You give your gut bacteria time to wake up, to rebuild, and to start doing the work they were made to do. And as they grow stronger, digestion feels easier, your stomach feels lighter, and your energy becomes steadier. Another thing I learned is the importance of water. Fiber without water is like trying to wash your car without turning on the hose. It just doesn't work. When you eat more fiber but don't drink enough, everything slows down and gets stuck. But when you combine the two, it's like watching your digestion come back to life. The food moves more smoothly, the heaviness fades, and the bathroom becomes a place of relief instead of frustration. For people our age, staying hydrated is half the battle. I also discovered that not all fiber is the same. Some foods like beans or raw greens can be harder on the stomach when you're just starting out. Cooking vegetables, choosing softer fruits, or adding a spoonful of ground flaxseed or chia to your yogurt can be much gentler at the beginning. Over time, your digestive system becomes more resilient, and you can handle a wider range of fiber-rich foods without discomfort. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. And finally, the most important lesson: listen to your body. It will tell you when you're moving too fast or when you found the rhythm that works for you. Adding fiber shouldn't feel like punishment. It should feel like giving your body something it has been quietly asking for: comfort, balance, and the ability to function the way it was meant to. When you do it right, fiber doesn't just help your digestion. It supports your heart, your blood sugar, your energy, and your overall well-being. At our age, that kind of gentle support can make every day feel just a little bit easier, a little more peaceful, and a lot healthier. As I look back on everything we've talked about today, I hope you can hear the simple message behind it all. Your body still wants to take care of you, even at 60, 70, or beyond. Sometimes it just needs a little help, a little fiber, a little kindness. If any part of this story sounded familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. We're all learning, adjusting, and trying to feel a little better each day. If this video helped you understand your body a little more, or gave you something to think about the next time you sit down to eat, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to the channel. It helps me keep making these conversations for folks our age, people who deserve clear answers and gentle guidance. And if you tap that notification bell, you won't miss the next story. Take care of yourself today. You're worth that effort more than you know.